everyone, if you're just joining. Just gonna go ahead and post the stream in Discord, and I'll be right with you. We're about to be underway in Monza. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream if you're just joining. Hello Rick, good luck today mate. Yeah, good luck to everyone. We have the second sprint race of the year, or of the season I should say, today, which should be very, very exciting. So we will have a one-shot qualifying session first to set the grid, and followed by a sprint race, which will set the grid for the full feature race. Hello, Lifebout. So everyone's going to get their setup sorted. Of course, very easy to forget setup in when it's one-shot qualifying. So hopefully everyone remembers. I know someone forgot last time there was a sprint race in ESRL. You have Abu Dhabi in Div 2, did 2 laps. It's horrible. It is absolutely horrific. I agree. It's a horrible track on this year's game, especially the second left-hander as you go under the colourful hotel bridge thingy. That is horrific, a horrible corner. But yeah, good luck for that, Lifebout. We're about to get underway for one-shot qualifying. Here we go. I'm going to ride on board with Avi, who's been having a brilliant season so far. He's currently sitting P3 in the championship, and he has been sort of out of the league of Ayrton and Nath Clark this season, but he has definitely been best of the rest, without a shadow of a doubt. Very consistent, very nice in every single race this season, and he is well deserving of where he is. NER Ayrton is P16. What has happened to the championship leader? Where is he? NER Ayrton. What's happened to NER Ayrton? He must have made a terrible mistake. He is all the way down in 15th, and in fact he slowed down, so he is not going to be challenging for pole here. Avi's down in P4, Nath Clark is currently sitting on pole position. Speed Alcoholic P2, Rick is P3 at the moment, with Avi down in 4th, but he is doing very well. Myra P5, Amir P6, and it's looking really, really tight for Avi there at Ascari. Nearly went over there. Womax has been disqualified, so he'll start from the back. Nath Clark down to 4th. Rick is P1 right now. Rick is on pole. I apologise for the other voice in the background, but Rick down to P2 now. Speed Alcoholic on pole. I think it's going to be Speed who takes pole position. It is, but Rick is on the front row. He's going to be delighted with that. Myra P3, Nath Clark in P4. I'm just going to go and mute that other voice, but wow, what a very surprising one-shot qualifying session. Rick on the front row. What a result that was. So Speed Alcoholic takes pole position with Rick alongside him in P2. Myra will start from P3. And Nath Clark down in P4, but he'll be happy with where Ayrton is, that's for sure. Amir P5, Ace vs Kings P6, Avi P7, Ayrton DTS in a strong P8. This is where he needs to be to survive relegation, but Zuba is right behind them as well. The Toe in P10, and Ted and Lostock make up the next row, with Scott near the back, and NER Ayrton P14 after he messed up at the first chicane. Vans and Womax both being disqualified, and they'll start from the back. Good luck to you two, Lifebout. What an exciting one-shot quali session that was. And it's raining for the sprint race. Oh, okay. Now we are talking. A wet sprint race. With it all on the line, especially for NER Ayrton, the championship leader. He needs to make up ground. And Ayrton, if I seem to remember, Ayrton seemed... He's usually sort of in a league of his own in ESRL, but in Monza he was challenged. He certainly was challenged by more than one driver last time we raced here, if I remember rightly. I think it was season 1. No, it can't have been season 1. Maybe it was season 2. But I do seem to remember that. So we will see what happens, and he's starting from the back in wet conditions. This is not going to be easy at all for him. The top, I think it's the top 8 score in the sprint race in ESRL. Let me just double check that while we wait. Yeah, the top 8, and it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 for the top 8 in terms of points. So we will see what happens here, but it's looking good for Nath Clark to gain some points on his championship rival. Here we go, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the the Monza sprint race, as they are off. Speed Alcoholic off to a good start, as Rick also off to a good start. Nath Clark up to P3 already. Up to turn 1 they go. Speed takes the lead. Nath Clark down the inside of Rick for P2, and now around the outside of turn 2. He's got the superior grip. It's full wet conditions. Ayrton has a 5-second penalty for severe collision. I don't know what's happened. It looks like we've got a VSC. I don't know who's ahead out of Nath Clark and Rick. I believe it was Rick. Yeah, it was. So Rick retakes that position, and the VSC is out, but a huge lead for Speed Alcoholic early on after Rick and Nath Clark. Oh, Rick goes very deep there, and clearly drivers struggling with the conditions, but Ayrton with a 5-second penalty. His sprint is going from bad to worse at the moment. A terrible qualifying, and now he's P15 with 5-second penalty. Amir is also not having a great start. He is down in last place, as Scott, there's a few positions swapping. I think Scott might have lost it at Lesmo. Yeah, I think that's what's happened. Unlucky to Scott, and maybe both McLarens. And Amir goes off. In fact, he's got no front wing on that Mercedes either. But I am waiting for the green flag to be back out. Nath Clark in P3, his main rival down in P13. This is a huge opportunity for Nath Clark to gain some points here. If we look at the driver standings, he is 22 points behind going into this week. So with 3 races to go, he needs to gain some of those back today in order to get some confidence back in that car. Here's the VSC coming in soon. That gap has come back down again, as that's Ayrton DTS has gone for a spin. That's exactly what he doesn't need, and the green flag is out, and now Nath Clark has taken the opportunity. He's caught Rick sleeping. Down the inside he goes. It looks like he's going to make this move. Rick is going to fight him round the outside. It'll be the inside for turn 2, but I think the Williams has got this. But Rick with nearly superior grip, but I think he has got this. No, Nath Clark with a huge slide, and again, Nath Clark just about manages to save the car, but he is down to P6 now. So a huge opportunity missed for him. He's going to need to make sure he stays in the top 8 now, as Avi files through down towards the next corner, and Nath Clark very deep. Avi as well. They're both gone deep. Nath Clark keeps the position. Avi nearly loses it. Nath Clark nearly loses it just behind. Nath Clark down to P8 now, and it's gone from bad to worse for the championship P2 sitter. Ayrton is into the pits, and he is back out in P15, but Nath Clark is wasting his opportunity here to gain points on his championship rival. 2 spins in 1 lap, or near spins and he is all the way down. Myra and Aces meanwhile swap positions, and it's an Alfa Romeo double podium at the moment. That is not something I expected to see, I will not lie to you guys. Van's rating in P10 at the moment, Zuba in P11. Scott's had another spin, unfortunately. He is racing with controller today, due to unforeseen circumstances, so you can't blame him too much. And Nath Clark making moves. He's back up to P7, nearly, not quite. The toe keeps the position for now, and maybe Nath Clark a bit too trigger happy on the throttle again, and he's going to have to go around the outside as the Williams driver. The toe squeezes him all the way through turns 1 and 2. Nath Clark trying to make the move. Does he have the better grip? He's got to be careful not to lose it again. I think he's got this, but they're still side by side now, as Vans gets another 3-second time penalty further back. Nath Clark nearly onto the grass to make that overtake, but he does get into P7, and the toe has nothing to say to that. So Nath Clark up to P7, and Nats could be P6. It is Lostock onto the gravel, and Nath Clark making his way back up the grid to try and take advantage of this poor start for NER Ayrton. Meanwhile, Myra close to his teammate for P2. But at the moment, Rick is doing very, very well indeed. Scott's retired in the pit lane. He is not happy in these wet conditions on controller. I do not blame him one bit. So that's both McLarens out of the sprint. Only 9 laps of the sprint. It is, I believe, 33% on the full race, and given we have 50% races, it's about, well, math in my head, it's about 17% of a full race or so. Speed Alcoholic sets the fastest lap. Myra sets the fastest lap just behind, so clearly, and Avi now sets the fastest lap, so the times are very close at the moment between all these guys. Ayrton way back, he has no chance unless there's a safety car, which I don't think there will be at this point, although I probably shouldn't have said that. I've probably jinxed it now, but unless there's a safety car, he's got no chance of scoring points in this sprint, and he's going to have to fight his way up the grid in the feature race. But Nath Clark at the moment stands to gain 5 points, which is not as much as he would have hoped for given his start. He could have been second place and challenging Speed for the win, but it wasn't to be. A couple of mistakes have really cost him here. Avi challenging Aces for P4. Other than the 2 Aston Martins, this is the closest battle on the track. As Nath Clark nearly goes for another spin there. He nearly loses the car, manages to save it once again, but the toe now has a huge toe up towards Ascari. He's going to go for the overtake as the Alpine down the inside. Nath Clark nearly cuts him off. The toe has to almost go off the track there. But Nath Clark keeps the position and nearly loses it again. He is so trigger happy on that throttle at the moment. He is not happy in these conditions at all, but he's still keeping the car on the track somehow. But with every position he loses, he is hemorrhaging points that he could be gaining on his championship rival. Here he goes again, a much better run through Parabolica. Uses the ERS to try and make the move back on the Alpine. I think he's done it. Up to P6 he goes. Ahead before the corner is the toe. Going to fight him down the inside into turn 1. No. The Alpine thinks better of it, but has a huge ERS advantage. So Nath Clark draining all of that ERS as usual, to be honest. We do see him do this a lot, especially when he's coming from behind. He uses a lot of ERS. That looked like a crash further behind. Someone took out a marker board. I'm not sure who it was. Zuba's now got a 10-second time penalty, so he will not be gaining any points, but neither will his rivals, as Nath Clark goes very deep. Very, very deep, and the toe is going to have another opportunity here down the inside of the first Lesmo, and he makes the move. The Alpine back up to P6. Nath Clark down to P7 again, but Nath Clark nearly going for the overtake into Lesmo 2. That really would have been brave. But we do still have to keep an eye on this, because Nath Clark looking very quick, but very accident prone as well. Looks like another mistake for Zuba further back. He has now been lapped. But Womax is in P8, so he stands to gain 3 points. He is the important one in terms of the relegation fight between those guys. as he is in relegation position at the moment, as Avi makes the move on Aces to go up to P4, and that must have been a mistake from Aces, because Aces was right behind Myra just a second ago, and now 2.7 behind and loses the place to Avi. And now Nath Clark is going to have the run again on the toe, on the run to turn 1. We're on lap 6 of 9. Speed and Rick have gained a huge amount of time on the rest of the grid, as Nath Clark goes for it. He goes for the dive bomb into turn 1 and goes very, very deep. The toe is not going to be happy about that one at all, but I think Nath Clark's made the move. No, he doesn't. He gives it back up. Maybe just didn't have the grip, or maybe gave it back up willingly. But either way, he is now down to P7 and under huge pressure from Womax now in the Aston Martin, who's trying to avoid relegation this season. But Womax thinks better of it, knows that if he finishes P8, he gets 3 points. But P9 gets him nothing for this sprint race. So he knows he's got to be careful and make sure to secure those points when his relegation rivals are way down the field. Nath Clark still in P7, has dropped off from the toe a little bit, but we'll see if he can get back in range. He does have the 2 Aston Martins to worry about, and I imagine that would have been a warning there at Ascari. He's got to be careful not to get a 3-second time penalty. He knows he's just got to finish in the top 8 to score some good points, but he's using all that ERS yet again. Nath Clark, when on the back foot, he just drains all the ERS, and then he has nothing to defend or attack with, and ends up dropping back again. Myra sets the fastest lap now. It's trading between drivers at the moment. I should really have telemetry disabled. Completely forgot about that. It's been a it's been a day. It's been a day. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It has been one hell of a day for me, so I do apologise. But Nath Clark still within range of the toe at the moment. As the toe goes very deep, that could be an opportunity for the Williams. It is. Down the inside he goes on the run to Lesmo 1, and a mistake from the Alpine gives Nath Clark another position and another point. Up to P6 he goes. That will be 5 points if it remains like it is for Nath Clark. We'll reduce the gap to Ayrton down to 17 points. As Myra now picks up a 3-second time penalty, which could put their podium for this sprint race in jeopardy, as Avi is only 2.6 behind right now and catching. So Myra could have just thrown away a point there, but we will see. Is very close to the other Alfa Romeo of Rick, who has now dropped off massively from Speed Alcoholic, who sets the fastest lap. He is flying at the moment in that Alpha Tauri. 4 seconds ahead of anyone else, and I think he is going to make it 2 sprint race wins from 2 this season, as now Womax tries to make the move on the toe. Here goes the Aston Martin, and the Bulgarian backs out in the braking zone, the toe much later on the brakes. And Womax has to fight another day. A quick look at the relegation zone. Womax is 4 points from safety. As it stands, he would get 3 points from this race, with all of his relegation rivals getting nothing. So he's very far from out of the woods, but this would certainly help. But it's another mistake for Nath Clark further up, and the toe takes the opportunity into Lesmo 1. Nath Clark has to give it up, and these two swap positions once again, and it's every single time it's been due to a mistake from the car in front. And now Nath Clark's under big pressure from the Bulgarian in the Aston Martin. Aces and Avi are swapping places further up. Aces down to P5, but we've got to keep an eye on these guys. Womax backs out again in the end. He knows, again, he just wants to secure those 3 points for finishing in 8th, and does not want to fall to 9th, despite the penalty for Lostock. He knows he's just got to be careful. We're on the final lap of the sprint race now. Speed Alcoholic still leads by a huge margin over Rick, who will be delighted to be in second place. It will be his first podium of the season. Obviously only a sprint race, but still he'll be very happy with that if it finishes like it is. Nath Clark not close enough to make any sort of move on the Alpine just ahead of him. And Aces is looking for a move on Avi as well, possibly, as they file through the first chicane. Down towards the next few corners of the track. Heavy braking zone. We've seen a few mistakes already today. I wonder if the race will be dry or wet. We'll have to find out. But the toe looks fairly comfortable right now in P6. We'll keep an eye on that. But Aces versus Kings very close to the back of Avi at the moment. Is he going to be able to make a move into Ascari? I don't think he's close enough. And likewise, I don't think Wumax is close enough to Nath Clark either. So I'm going to head on board with Speed Alcoholic, who has been imperious in this sprint race. 9 laps it has been, but he has been on top form. And Speed Alcoholic comes across the line. 10 points from today's sprint. It's 2 sprint race wins from 2 for the South African. He takes the sprint win. Rick finishes P2 and gets the fastest lap at the end. Myra will finish on the podium. Avi too far back in the end to take advantage of that penalty. Will finish P4. Ace is right behind him, P5. The Toe finishes P6. Nath Clark gets 4 points in P7, but it could have been so much more without his mistakes today. Wumax is probably the most crucial 3 points of the lot, and that will take him 1 point away from safety in terms of relegation, with 3 races to go, including this one. Vans retires from the session at Parabolica. Not that he would have had points anyway, but it will put him further back on the grid. So that's quite a costly DNF actually from Vans at the final corner. I wonder if we can see what happened. There he is. He's done a... who was it that crashed there? It was Leclerc, wasn't it? In that Monza race that Gasly won. So DTS and Ayrton gain another position in terms of the grid. But a big win for Speed Alcoholic. Rick is very, very excited that he's gotten his first podium, and I do not blame him at all. Wumax driver of the day, he secures 3 points in his relegation battle on his rivals, but it is Speed Alcoholic who takes the race, the sprint race win, with Rick in P2, gets his first podium of the season. It's sort of a podium. We'll give him the podium. It's not a full podium. It's a sprint podium, but we'll still give him his first podium of the season honours. Myra in P3, a double podium for Alfa Romeo. Fantastic result in the sprint for them. Avi P4, Aces P5, and then the Toe, Nath Clark, down in P7, but still secures 4 points in his fight against Ayrton. Wumax P8, huge 3 points for him. Lostock, Amir, Ayrton DTS, Ayrton, the championship leader. Vans Racing, Zuba, Scott and Ted will make up the rest of the grid for the feature race, which is coming up now. I'm just going to dash and quickly get a drink. I'm back, and just in time. Everyone getting ready for the feature race in Monza. A very bad sprint race for the championship leader, NER Ayrton, but he was not punished by his rival Nath Clark in the end, who only got 4 points gain on the Ferrari. But that brings the total points deficit from 22 to 18 ahead of the race, the full race in Monza. It is dry, so no wet weather shenanigans like in the sprint. So we'll see if Ayrton can make his way up the field. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Italian Grand Prix. It's a good start for speed at the front, but it's also a good start for Rick as he tries to make a move down the inside, but no, he's under pressure from his teammate Myra, in fact, and Avi's trying to get involved too. Could it be 3 wide? Not quite. Myra does get the move done, but Aces makes it through on Rick through turn 2. Rick with the better line. Aces nearly loses the car off the circuit. There was contact with Rick, but I don't think Rick changed line there. Nath Clark is promoted to P5. Ayrton up to P10 already as Speed Alcoholic with a fantastic start. Avi trying to make the move on Rick further up. Rick makes a small error into on the run to Lesmo, and could that open the door? Not quite. Avi has to stick behind for now. Nath Clark right behind as well. He needs to have a fantastic result today. He needs to take advantage of this poor start or getaway for NER Ayrton. He's not going to do it, sitting back, and now Avi trying to make the move on Rick round the outside of Ascari. He's always going to be crowded out there, and he is indeed. Rick keeps P3. Nath Clark trying to take advantage of this right behind Avi again, trying to make the move into Parabolica. I think there's less downforce on that Mercedes. Down the inside he goes. Rick tries to hang it all the way around the outside. Here they go. They're still side by side through Parabolica. Down towards turn 1. They're going to be side by side all the way down, I think. Is Nath Clark going to be able to take advantage? Not quite, but look, they are right together. And here comes Nath Clark to try and make it 3 wide. The Williams goes for it. He goes on the grass, in fact. And I don't know how he didn't lock up there. He manages to keep the car going and get round. He's on hard tyres as well. The 2 cars ahead on mediums. So Nath Clark, if he can get past these guys, he would be on a huge advantage, but they're still side by side, these two. What a battle this is for 3rd place. Rick has to back out in the end as they go on the run towards turns 4 and 5. But wow, what a battle that was, and a mistake from Avi is going to continue the battle here. Rick down the inside of the first. Lesmo gets back up into P3. Avi still P4. Nath Clark challenging him at the meantime, sort of faking to go for the move into Lesmo too, but no move being made there by the Williams. And onto the run towards Ascari. I cannot keep up. It is all happening at the moment. Nath Clark warming his tyres there, it seemed like, and Ace is right behind him, also on the hards. I'm going to put position changes up. So Nath Clark up 2, Ayrton up 4. He's up to P8 already. He's right behind, so do not count him out at all. The championship leader in the dry conditions, back in it once again. Speed Alcoholic sets the fastest lap. I'm going to put tyres on. There we go, as Ayrton and Amir side by side, these two, the 2 ESRL champions. Ayrton Season 2, Amir Season 1, but I think Ayrton's going to get the better of him here. Up to P7 goes the championship leader. Is he going to make a move on his teammate as well? It would be impromptu. I don't think he meant to make the move there, but he nearly went into the side of his teammate, and that would have been disastrous for the championship leader, as he is having to fight his way through the pack. We've seen him make mistakes in these situations this season. Will he make another one? Not at the moment. Avi nearly into the back of Rick further up, and that's going to invite Nath Clark down the inside towards Lesmo 1. And I think he's going to make that move. Yes, he does. The Williams up to P4. And this is crucial for the championship protagonists to make their way up the grid, but especially for Nath Clark, who needs to gain points on his rival today. We've got yellow flags. I think that's Scott who's gone for a spin. Again, don't blame him. He's on controller today. So very difficult for him. Look at the gap to Myra. 5 seconds between Myra and Rick. And further 2 seconds to Speed Alcoholic. So these guys, or those two, in a league of their own at the moment, with all these guys battling behind and losing so much time. I think team orders at Ferrari there as Ayrton goes through on the medium tyres to P6. Aces down to P7. Avi's still right behind Nath Clark. Rick goes very defensive, very aggressive defending from the Alfa Romeo all the way to the inside. He doesn't need to do that. Nath Clark is not close enough as they go towards turn 1, but that Williams is going to be looking for this move as soon as possible, I'm sure. And there's a bit of a twitch there from Rick that could leave Nath Clark thinking that he can make the move on the run towards turns 4 and 5. Here he goes, the Williams looking for a move, but Just trying to scare Rick into a mistake, I think, there. Had no intention of making that move. There's Ayrton right behind Avi now. There's only 2 places between the 2 championship protagonists. And Ayrton is P6. Nath Clark in P4. There were many more positions between them in the sprint race. So this is a brilliant first few laps recovery from Ayrton. He's up to P6 and he's challenging Avi for P5 already. He is right behind that Mercedes. And he is on the medium tyres, so Nath Clark does have the disadvantage here in terms of tyres. And they are losing a lot of time to the top 2. But I think Nath Clark, as long as there's not a safety car, if he can continue this run, he could be doing pretty well here. And here he goes. He's going to go round the outside of Rick. There is DRS enabled, and he's going to make that move before the braking zone. Yes, he does. And Nath Clark up to P3, gets past Rick, and now he just needs to put his foot down, make sure he doesn't make a mistake, and use those hard tyres to their full potential so he can push on the mediums later on. Rick trying to fight back, but I don't think there's any way through. Nath Clark just with the superior pace, and even on those hard tyres, he's going to be looking to pull away, although he's not doing that at the moment, and a small mistake there through Lesmo 1, and Rick could be back in here. He's going to have the DRS on the run to Ascari, and I think Rick's going to go for this here. Here he goes. He's not quite using ERS, but he's going to go around the outside anyway. Here they go. Down the inside goes Rick, goes for the dummy, and Nath Clark squeezes him to the apex. I think that was all fair, but Rick is not giving this up, and Nath Clark doesn't quite have the pace to keep or to pull away from these guys. And now Rick and Avi side by side. Avi all the way round the outside of the Alfa Romeo. On through Parabolica they go. Ayrton just a spectator at this point, as Avi now is going to make the move on Nath Clark. Nath Clark's going to be swallowed up here. They've all got DRS except him, and he's going to lose the place to his championship rival. Ayrton into P5. They're nearly 3 wide into turn 1, but Nath Clark loses 3 positions in one straight. But there's a bit of carnage there as Rick is squeezed out through turn 2. Nath Clark back to P5, and the 2 championship rivals in 4th and 5th, right next to each other, as close as you can be, but they are on different tyres. So there is a strategy game here. It's not just about where they are on track at the moment. But I think there was a mistake further back for someone. Rumax is currently sitting P9 where he needs to be. He's in front of all his relegation rivals. Ayrton DTS down in P12 behind Zubra. Nath Clark with a huge error there. He's again Lesmo 2 really catching him out here. It caught him out in the sprints as well, but I thought in the dry he would be better. But no, it's the same again for the Williams driver, and he's now down to P6. 2 places behind his championship rival. And are we seeing the alternate strategy yet again not being the right one to be on? If he was on the mediums, he could have made those moves much quicker. I do believe he has the superior pace, but those hards are just making it much more difficult for him. A few laps time there will be parity between the 2 compounds, but it's too late for Nath Clark, and I think we're again seeing someone just ruin their race for no reason by going on the alternate strategy, which is worse than the best strategy. But Nath Clark goes down the inside of Rick. He really braked late for that one and locked up as well, and nearly went wide through turn 1. Rick now is going to have down the inside he goes. The Alfa Romeo trying to make this move. They're side by side on the run towards turn 4. Is Nath Clark going to go for this, or is he going to back out? I think he's going to go for it. No, he has backed out in the end, and I believe that was a flashing red light on the back of that Williams, so he has again drained all of his ERS, and I feel like he is bottling this. Nath Clark, he has a huge opportunity here to gain points on his rival, his main championship rival. And I mean, we've seen Donev the last couple of weeks go on the alternate strategy, and it's just being a complete waste of time for him, losing any chance at a possible victory due to the hards being so bad in the first stint. And I think I just cannot comprehend how people are still making this error. You've seen Dunev lose wins these last couple of weeks, and Nath Clark still goes for the alternate strategy despite him having a no risk situation here. His championship rival was so far behind. We've got yellow flags. I think that's Scott again, as Nath Clark now round the outside of Rick towards turn 1, but Rick's going to have the cutback as they come round turn 2. I think there's a better drive for Nath Clark though, although Rick is going to have more straight line speed than that Williams at the moment, but he's got to look behind him as well, because Aces is looking for the move up to P6. Doesn't quite make it, but Rick has to settle for 6th place at the moment. Nath Clark up to 5th, but I think there was another small mistake from the Williams there. He lost a fair bit of time out of turn 5 in towards Lesmo 1 and 2. Is he going to make a mistake through Lesmo 2 yet again? We'll have to find out. Doesn't look like it. He's managed to make it through this time as Scott retires in the pit lane. So no drama there. But he could find himself in the relegation fight as Aces versus Kings. Into the back of Rick is carnage at Ascari. Aces breaks too late, or maybe Rick broke early. It's unsure from my angle. Really tough to say. I'm sure we'll see it in the stewards either way, but Rick all the way down to P14. He will be furious with that, and Aces with a broken front wing as well. The toe right behind him. That promotes Nath Clark to a comfortable P5. But he is 3 seconds, more than 3 seconds, 4 seconds behind his main championship rival of NER Ayrton. And as I was saying, I just don't understand it. I do not understand why people are still doing the alternate strategy. When we've seen it so many times this season not work. But the people still just insist on doing it, and especially when you're in a championship fight, it's all on the line, and your championship rival, who you're 22 points behind, or 18 after the sprint race, has an absolute nightmare one-shot qualifying, a terrible sprint race. You gain some points on him, he's way behind you on the grid, and you go on the alternate strategy. I just don't understand it. I really don't. And he's under huge pressure from Amir now. And those hard tyres still not working out, and it's a huge mistake. He's gone! Nath Clark is out of the race. Those hard tyres, too much for him. That will be a safety car, I'm sure of it. Yeah, there is the safety car on the racetrack. He's in the wall. There is the stricken Williams. Nath Clark, his championship chances have just gone up in smoke. That is it. That is absolutely game over for Nath Clark, and I think that is game over for the ESRL Season 3 Drivers' Championship as well. Ayrton in P3, looking very comfortable. He's going to go on hard tyres to the end. P4 after Ted stays out. I think that is championship over, unfortunately. Ted with a mistake through turn 2 under safety car conditions, unfortunately. I wonder if they're going to be told to let him back through by the game. I'll have to find out. Rick is upset in the chat. I don't blame you, mate. I saw it all. Well, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I did see the contact. He now has a lot of work to do from P13. But with the championship battle now all but over, obviously still 17 laps to go in this race, but can you guys see Ayrton making a big mistake that loses in the race? I can't. I certainly can't. What a story this season has been in terms of the driver's title. It's been very up and down. For Nath Clark winning the first 3 races on the trot, Ayrton losing a huge amount of points. I mean, he did. Let's not beat around the bush. He got fairly fortunate with a few safety cars in the early part of the season when he was struggling for form. and he didn't lose as many points as he could easily have done. But ever since then, it has been mistakes galore for Nath Clark, and Ayrton has been supreme. The last few weeks, he has been completely unchallenged for pace by anyone in ESRL. No one has been anywhere near him at all. And today he is after a dismal sprint race, back in the driving seat for sure, and it is well and truly his championship to lose. So, with that, let's have a quick look at the relegation battle. There is the safety car. Speed and Myra are P1 and 2, but they do have the championship leader behind them. So that safety car has completely neutralised the massive lead that they both had, which they'll be annoyed about for sure, I think. But let's have a look at the relegation battle. So at the moment it's Vans on 50 points, Zuber on 46, Ayrton DTS on 45, Womax on 42, which is now going to be 45 points, thanks to the 3 points he gained in the sprint race, and Ted on 11 points. He is very much out of the battle, but it is Womax, Ayrton DTS, Zuber and Vans all within 5 points of each other. And Scott as well on 53. He's retired from this race, so he's going to be down in the relegation fight after today as well. Obviously he was racing on controller today, so a tough one for him today, but it will nonetheless be 0 points scored for him. So as it stands, Womax in P5, he is doing fantastically in that Aston Martin. So if it finishes like it is at the moment, let's have a quick look at the point system again. So yeah, it's the top 3 get an advantage, and then everyone else is 1 point all the way down. So safety car coming in, it doesn't look like it. I think Vans is too far behind, so I think it will be out for one more lap, although I will have to keep an eye on it. So at the moment it would be 15 points for Womax, which would, coupled with the 3 points he gained in the sprint, it would put him 45 on 60 points, which is 7 ahead of Scott. Zuber is scoring 8 points as it stands, which would put him on 54, which is 1 point ahead of Scott. So safety car will be out another lap, so we do have time to work this out. So it's Womax at the moment on 60 points, Scott still on 53, Zuber as it stands would be on 54, Vans would be on 56, Ayrton DTS would be on 57. So it's still very, very close. It would put Scott right to the back of this relegation battle, but there would still only be 7 points between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers all fighting to be out of that bottom 3. But 2 of them are going to be relegated to Division 2 after this season. Very, very close battle between them, and I think if it does finish like it is now, that will be the championship battle off the table pretty much. Obviously 2 races to go, but it would leave Nath Clark with a pretty much insurmountable margin. unless Ayrton DNFs from a race, which he has yet to do this season, other than the one that he missed. Safety car is in this lap, so we'll get back to racing. But yeah, I think that relegation battle is going to be one to keep a very close eye on as they come through Ascari. Speed Alcoholic slows everyone down, getting ready for the restart. We're right on board with the championship leader as we wait for the restart. He decides when to go. Speed Alcoholic at the front. As soon as the safety car comes into the pits, he can put the foot down. When is he going to do it? Still slow for now. Moving across the track, getting those tyres warmed up. Need it with those hards. Very difficult to warm up in these conditions. Is he going to go for it? Ayrton very good at safety car restarts usually. Myra sitting right behind. Speed leaving it very late here. He's gone for it. And Ayrton and Myra unable to punish him. It was a pretty good restart, but Ayrton right behind Myra. I don't think he's going to make a move. He looks to the inside, but I don't think he's going to go for it. He's sensible. He knows there's a championship on the line. All he needs to do is finish where he is, and he will have an insurmountable almost lead. Avi right behind in P4. It looks like as you were for the moment. Womack's still sitting in P5. Amir behind in the Mercedes, but the Toe and Aces are the ones to watch. They're both on the medium tyres, and they'll be much faster than everyone else for the first few laps here, as the Toe with a huge amount more grip than Amir out of turn 5, unable to make the move though into Lesmo 1. But I think it's a matter of when, not if here, because Amir does not have grip on those hards compared to the Toe, and Aces as well right behind. This could be a very entertaining battle between them, but we've got to cut back to the front because Myra is right behind Speed, Ayrton right behind them, and Avi as well sitting behind them, going a bit off there at the exit of Ascari, but still sticking with these guys. And I think we're going to have a 4-car train, at least for now, as Womack's already starting to fall away in that Aston Martin, but still doing a stellar job is the Bulgarian at the moment. A race towards turn 1. We're on lap 15 of 27 already. Is it just me, or has this race flown by? It has been action-packed all the time, which is exactly what we want to see and what Monza usually provides. Speed Alcoholic still in the front. He wants to get his first win of the season. We've only had 2 different winners this season, Nath Clark and Ayrton. Rick up to P9 meanwhile gets past Ayrton DTS in that Alfa Romeo, as Vans gets past Ted as well further back for P13, and it may not seem like much, but it could be crucial with the relegation battle being so close between them all. That gives Vans another point in that fight. These 4 pulling away. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. That's Ted off. I think he's still in the race, but a spin at Lesmo 2 for the Northern Irishman. The Toe still right behind Amir, not able to make the move on those medium tyres as of yet, and Aces as well, trying to look for a move further back. But at the moment, he's just got to stick with them. DRS will be enabled at the end of this lap, I think. Zuba makes up another place on his relegation rival as well. Into P10 goes the Red Bull. He'll be very happy with that. DRS is indeed enabled. It won't be on this main straight because the detection point is behind the line, but next lap we will see some DRS overtakes as Zuba now tries to make the move on Rick. He is flying in this latter half of the season as the Red Bull, and he is up to P9. Great stuff from Zuba. Had a terrible start to the season, but these later rounds he has been on fire at the moment. Some good results for him, very solid for Zuba at the moment. That's exactly what he needs to do to avoid relegation. Amir right behind Womack's is going to look for this move soon, but he's got to look behind him as well. No, just I said it, I cursed him, Zuba, all the way down to P13. What have I done? Oh no, I can't believe it. I'm so sorry, Zuba. I'm so sorry. on the run towards Ascari. No moves being made in these 4, but I am gutted. I cannot believe that I've just done that. We've got yellow flags in Sector 3. Who's that? That's Ace's round, and Ascari. Rick just about avoids him, as do the cars behind. I don't know how no one's crashed into him there. He was right on the racing line. But the Toe is promoted to P7 and is now putting Amir under pressure further ahead. Myra not close enough to Speed, and Ayrton as well not close enough to Myra. Avi very close to Ayrton though, so these 4 pulling away in a bit of a race of their own, but it's going to be a fantastic battle for the lead, I am sure, in these final 10 or 11 laps. Lostock gets past Ayrton DTS further back, we just saw in the background there on the run to turn 1, as Amir nearly got past Womax, but had to back out in the end. But I'm sure this move will be done eventually, as the 2 Hasses now swap positions again. This is crucial for relegation, these 2 in the relegation battle, so no love lost between the Haas drivers. They're not in a Constructors Championship challenging position, as Ted has retired in the pit lane, so no more safety cars as of yet. But Lostock goes fairly deep there, and this could allow Vans to have an opportunity. He's already made up 4 places since the restart. Up to P10 he is, and he is making waves at the moment on his bid to avoid relegation in these last few races. As the Toe right behind Amir. Amir goes deep through Parabolica, and this could open the door for the Alpine. They're going to be side by side on the run to turn 1. Myra is right behind Speed as well, but I don't think close enough to make a move, so we'll keep on board with these 2 as the Toe has to tuck back in the slipstream, but then goes back down the inside again. Is he going to try and make the move? They're going to be nearly 3 wide. Amir braked very late and nearly went into the back of Womax, but he has managed to keep that position from the Alpine just behind, and they go towards turn 3 and now towards 4, and they stick in the same positions for now, as Lostock gets a time penalty for corner cutting. I'm not sure if I can't remember if it's a different message for just track limits, so I don't know if he's gone off at turn 1 or something. But he's shipping positions left, right and centre, so I think he must have gone off. And I'm not certain on that. Meanwhile, at the front, these 3 very close together. Avi has dropped off a little bit now, as Ayrton is pushing to try and make this move for P2 and perhaps for the lead, because Speed is not going to have DRS on this next main straight. And he's going to have 2 cars right behind him, both with DRS. He's really going to struggle to hold on to P2 here. Never mind the lead. Here they go on the run towards turn 1. DRS for Myra, DRS for Ayrton. Avi has to watch and wait in the background. Here they go, it's going to be 3 wide up towards turn 1 for the race lead on lap 19 of 27. Ayrton round the outside, there's contact with Ayrton and Myra, and Ayrton down to P3, and that slips Avi all the way through to P2. He watches and waits and profits from the contact. Up to second place goes the Mercedes. Fantastic stuff for him, as Ayrton is now back to P3. I don't know if there's damage to that Alfa Romeo. They may well be. There could be damage to Ayrton as well. It was quite a big shunt. But Ayrton right behind that Mercedes. I can see damage on my telemetry, but I won't reveal it until the end. But Aces with a 3-second time penalty now for, multiple warnings, so it's different for track limits. So Lostock must have cut the corner at turn 1 and 2, or gone off and taken to the escape road, and the game has penalised him. But that opens up a huge gap for Speed Alcoholic now. He is still in P1, and that collision has given him a 2-second advantage over everyone else. He is looking for his first win of the season, and at the moment he is doing fantastically to make it happen. on the run towards turn 1. Ayrton with the DRS. Avi will defend to the inside of turn 1. A bit of a squeeze from the Mercedes, but Ayrton breaks late. Round the chicane they go. Avi's going to have the outside line and perhaps the superior grip, but no, Ayrton is more confident on the throttle out of turn 2, and he is up to P2. The championship leader now has a 2-second gap to catch in order to try and win this race. The speed is looking very, very good at the moment. And Myra is going to have to catch back up if they want to get a podium as well today. The Finnish driver obviously caught up in that incident at turn 1 with Ayrton. And we'll be hoping to make amends. But Avi is looking for another podium this season. It would be his 5th podium of the season. He has been on top form in Season 3. Much faster than his teammate Amir, who meanwhile gets past Womack on the run to Ascari. Into P5 goes the Season 1 champion. And this is better, but he's still he hasn't been on the pace this season, Amir. He's not been enjoying this new game this year. And Avi has taken to it a lot better than his teammate. And I hope we can see Amir fighting for wins again on this game, but yeah, it's not been the best time for him as Aces goes for a spin at Parabolica, and Amir loses that place back to Womack on the run to turn 1. So Womack's looking really good right now to gain a huge number of points in order to stave off this relegation threat. But is that a safety car? It is a safety car. I can see it in the pit lane, so that will neutralize everything, as well as Speed Alcoholics lead, and he is going to be fuming. That's the 2nd time in a row he's had a significant lead on everyone else, and a safety car is going to bring it all the way back down to 0 once again. And who else is behind him but the championship leader, NER Ayrton. I reckon we'll have about 5 laps of green flag racing after this safety car, so maybe more like 4, because Aces is a long way behind. Although, is he going to be able to pass the safety car? Yeah, he will be. He hasn't been lapped, so he's going to be able to rejoin at the back on the soft tyres. Are we going to see the leaders pit? That's the question. Are they going to come in for softs? Speed does come in for softs, which it means, but Ayrton stays out. Ayrton has stayed out on the hard tyres. Avi has stayed out as well. Myra comes in. Womack stays out, looking for his what would be his first podium of the season. I can't remember. Would this be his first podium in ESRL in general as well? I think it would be, to be honest. The tow as well into the pits. Almost everyone in. Vans Racing has stayed out as well on the mediums. He's happy on those tyres. And he's looking for an advantage in this relegation battle. So it's a risk, but could be a calculated risk for the Haas driver. And this is going to change things dramatically at the bottom of the drivers' table. The bottom 3 get relegated. 5 drivers in the mix. Ted is pretty much already relegated. Not mathematically, but I can't see him winning the last 2 races. So I think Ted will be in Division 2 next season. So the other 2 spots up for grabs between Scott, Vans Racing, Zuba, Ayrton DPS and Womack. And at the moment, Womack is sitting in P3 on the hard tyres with a bunch of cars on the softs behind. Vans on the mediums could get swallowed up by all these cars as well. Win for a thrilling end to this Italian Grand Prix. And I think, you know, it might not be over yet in terms of the championship, because I can easily see Ayrton getting absolutely swallowed up here by all the drivers and softs. I think that's a major error from the championship leader. We will see, of course. But yeah, that does seem like a strange decision, to be honest, from Ayrton to stay out. It wouldn't be the first strange strategy choice he's made this season. But we will see. I think safety car will probably be in after this lap, so we'll have 4 laps of green flag racing. This is going to be a very, very exciting end to the Grand Prix. So take a quick run through the order. Ayrton leads the race on hard tyres. They're 13 laps old. Avi in P2 on the same, and Womax as well in P3. Speed Alcoholic in P4. He's been leading for all the race until now, but he is on fresh, soft tyres with what will be 4 laps to go. It might even be 5 because Aces is pitted again, so he is going to have to catch back up. But Speed looking very, very dangerous there on those softs. Van's racing as well in P5 on the 11 lap old mediums, which will go to the end, but he's going to be so much slower than the cars behind him. Myra in P6, Amir P7, The Toe, Rick, Lostock, Ayrton DTS, Zuber and Aces, all at the back with fresh soft tyres. And the ones to watch are obviously the battle for the win, but in terms of relegation, Zuber and Ayrton DTS right next to each other. Van's racing in P5 on old mediums, Womax in P3 on old hards. It looks like we will go out for another lap, so we're going to have 3 laps of green flag racing, which gives fewer opportunities for the guys on soft tyres. It's exactly what the top 3 want. As many laps under the safety car as possible. So 1 more lap onto the full course yellow, and we'll get back underway. Be an opportunity for Amir if there is carnage. I can easily see, I have seen this kind of situation at Monza so many times that it always seems to happen for some reason whenever I watch or race here. It always seems to be a late safety car, and then all the top runners have to make a decision on whether to keep their tyres or pit, and we end up with a few drivers staying out on old harder compound tyres and everyone else on fresh softs, and it just turns into absolute carnage at the end. So we will see what happens here. Safety car should be in this lap. You'll be seeing those lights turn off. There we go, safety car in this lap. So Ayrton controls the pace from the front now, slows down to allow that safety car to get back in the pits. He chooses when to go. Is he going to leave it as late as Speed did on the previous safety car? Or is he going to try and catch everyone off guard? He has been fantastic at safety car restarts in the past, as Ayrton. Is he going to catch everyone sleeping once again? Here we go. Right on board with Avi to see if we can see when Ayrton's going to punch it. But the safety car's not in the pits yet, so Ayrton is leaving this very, very late. And he's gone very quick, and there we go, he's gone. No, he hasn't. He's been caught out by the limiter because the safety car wasn't in the pit lane yet, and Avi's been caught out by it as well. So Womax now under huge pressure from Speed on the run to turn 1, and Speed is going to get past and could be up to P2 by turn 1 here. Speed down the inside of Avi. He's going to make the move. He's going to have the superior grip on those softs. I'm sure he's going to make the move through turn 2, and he does. Up to P2 he goes. There's carnage further back as we've got 3-4 wide in towards turn 3 as Amir tries to make it through. The Toe as well. Van's racing, losing positions on those mediums as you would expect, but he's now going to be nearly 4 wide into turn 5 and nearly contact. Sorry, turn 4. The Toe up to P6. Amir gets through all of them. down the inside of Lesmo 1, but he's going to have to lose out in the end to the toe, and Womack's losing another position to Myra further up, so Womack's down to P5 on those hards. There's going to be 2 laps to go at the end of this one. How long can Womack's survive on those hards? How long can Ayrton survive with Speed Alcoholic right behind him on much better rubber? And he's going to make this move. Ayrton nearly with a huge mistake at the end of Ascari manages to keep the car going. Avi as well is going to lose out on those hards, but how much? Here comes Speed round the outside for the race lead at Parabolica. We've seen these two fight before in Japan. It didn't end well back then, but it's clean so far. Side by side they go. Speed back in the toe of Ayrton on the run towards turn 1. No DRS, of course. It should be enabled on the final lap, but here comes Speed down the inside of turn 1. Ayrton forced out, but they're still side by side. Ayrton nearly forces Speed onto the gravel. They're still side by side on the run towards turn 3. Here they go again, side by side for the race lead. Speed Alcoholic is going to have the move done, I think. Ayrton is still there though on the run towards turn 4, and they're still side by side. Speed is squeezed out in the end. Ayrton keeps the lead, and now Avi's involved on those hard tyres. Myra as well on those softs, trying to get back onto the podium. Womack's is surviving further back. Myra nearly with a mistake there at Lesmo 1, but Avi with a huge mistake, and there's contact. Myra's out of the race, and that's contact between the two Alfa Romeos as well. And that's Avi all the way round. Disaster at the end of this race. We've seen it before at Monza, and we've seen it again. A mistake from Avi, and it sent Myra into the wall and out of this race. Speed and Ayrton side by side on the run up to Parabolica once again. Speed round the outside. Here they go. We're coming on to the final lap. DRS is going to be enabled, but not on the main straight, remember. How much ERS is in that AlphaTauri, I wonder. DRS enabled now on the run towards turn 1. No DRS for Speed. Is he going to make the move? He's on the better rubber, but can he make this happen? Ayrton is defending for his life here, but Speed has made the move down the inside on the brakes, and I don't think he's going to lose it now. Those tyres are so much better. Speed takes the race lead on the final lap as Ayrton down to P2. Doesn't get swallowed up, and look who's in P3. The Toe, looking for his first podium of the season in that Alpine. He's under pressure from Womack's, but the Aston Martin unable to make the move. Womack's doing fantastically though, still in P4 on those hard tyres in terms of this relegation battle. Amir trying to make his way up onto P4 as well. We could have a final fight for the podium as well. If the Toe can't pull away in time, can Amir make the move in towards Ascari? He's going to have DRS, but so is Womack's. I don't think he's going to be close enough. Amir has to stick behind the Aston Martin for now. Rick as well trying to get involved just behind, but I think it's too late unless they can make a final move into Parabolica here. Amir right behind the Aston Martin, but Speed Alcoholic we have to cut to, because he comes around the final corner, and Speed Alcoholic takes his first win of the season. He wins the Italian Grand Prix. Ayrton P2, the Toe, takes his first podium of the season. Womack's and Amir side by side across the line, less than a tenth between them, but Womack's takes a fantastic P4. Amir P5, Rick P6 in the end. Ayrton BCS finishes P7, and what an absolute roller coaster of an Italian Grand Prix that was. Absolutely fantastic. I can say now, by the way, Ayrton had side pod damage after that contact with Myra, according to my telemetry. But the story of the day is absolutely the Toe with his first podium of the season. Fantastic drive for him, taking advantage of everything. And wow, what a race that was. That ending was absolutely spectacular. What a race for Speed Alcoholic. The South African takes the race win. Only the third different winner this season of ESRL. But it has certainly still been extremely exciting. And the South African takes the race win in the Italian Grand Prix, with Ayrton just behind him in P2 after he lost it on the final lap. The Toe takes his first podium of the season. He'll be ecstatic with that one. And Womack in P4, a huge result for him in this relegation battle. Amir P5 and Rick in P6 in the end after his sprint race podium. Ayrton DTS in P7, another huge result for him as well in the relegation fight. Aces P8, Vans down in P9, finishes ahead of Zuba though, and Lostock in P11, with Avi all the way down in P12 after that contact with Myra, who ends up in P13, and then the DNFs Ted, Nath Clark and Scott, unfortunately unable to finish the race. Oof. I'm just reading in the chat about Nath Clark's talking about the alternative strategy. If you're still in chat, Nath Clark, yeah, basically the last couple of weeks, Donev, I feel, sort of well, not deliberately obviously, but sort of sabotaged his own chances of winning the last couple of races by doing the alternate strategy, and it's just, those hards are just so bad in the first stint, and he just got stuck behind cars and lost out, and Ayrton had a huge lead, and then it was all over already. And I saw shades of the same thing here, but if you didn't know what happened the last couple of weeks, then absolutely fair enough. But yeah, that's why I was saying what I did. Just saw similar outcomes possibly of that one, but unlucky today anyway, if you are still watching. But what a race in Italy. That will be that for this stream though. I think my driver of the day, tricky. I mean, there's certainly an argument to give it to the Toe for his first podium of the season, but very tricky. Oh, I really can't decide, you know. I really can't. There's obviously an argument for Ayrton as well, coming from the back of the grid, but I think when I consider driver of the day, that is the day, which is including the sprint race, and Ayrton had a nightmare of a sprint race, so I don't think I can give it to Ayrton. I think I'm going to give driver of the day. I think I'm going to give it to Womack. I think there's a huge argument to give it to Speed, and I was thinking I was going to give it to Speed, but honestly, Womack was amazing today. That P8 finish to secure the 3 points in the sprint, and then coming around in the race, making that risky call to stay out on the hards at the end, and keeping those guys behind and racing fantastically at the end. I think I'm going to give it to Womack. He is going to get my driver of the day today, so well done to Womack. But of course, well done to Speed, a double win for him. Win in the sprints, a win in the main feature race. And he was fantastic today. Really had to work for it. He had huge gaps, and then the safety car brought them down twice in a row. And at the end, he had to make the overtake on the final lap, and he did it really well. So, well done to Speed on the win. Well done to Ayrton and the Toe on their podiums as well, especially the Toe for his first podium in ESRL. But yeah, what a race. Well done to everyone today. And Zuba, yeah, it all went wrong for you there. And I do have to apologize. I think I cursed you. I was just talking about how you've had a really good second half of the season, and or last few weeks at least, and you've been really really on the pace and very consistent in terms of those points finishes in the threat, with the threat of relegation looming, and then you immediately lost it. So I do apologise for that. But still P10 for you today, so all is not lost, and this relegation battle is absolutely fantastic. It will continue for the final 2 races, I'm sure. Rick is very anguished in the chat, and I don't blame him, but that will be that for today's stream. I hope you all enjoyed the Italian Grand Prix. I certainly did, and I'll see you next week for more ESRL. We will be in Great Britain, Silverstone, for next week's race. It will be the penultimate round of the season. I look forward to seeing you all there, and thank you all for watching. Goodbye.